Good evening from Port Harcourt, Nigeria, to all those who are joining us from across the world, either live or watching the recording. We are delighted to have you here with us again. This is our second time we're coming together under the auspices of Cybersecurity and Me Conference, otherwise called Camcom. This is our 2023 edition, and we are so delighted because we believe that security, safety is the responsibility of every one of us. So we've decided that we should come together with professionals, experts at cybersecurity safety and cybersecurity and cyber safety, and have these conversations about how we all can navigate this all-important cyberspace where we all find ourselves. I'd like to say thank you for coming in and coming in on time. Thank you. If you can hear me clearly, and you wouldn't mind telling us in the chat where you are logging in from, we'll be delighted to see and just give a shout out. My name is Joyce Daniels, and I'm delighted once again to be our moderator this year. I was here at Cybersecurity and Me Conference, Camcom 2022, and we had an expository time. One or two things that we learned last year are still with me. In particular, I will tell you that all my passwords right now are sentences, sentences that I can remember because I learned the strength of using the right kinds of passwords. Something else I really took away was being careful with the kinds of Wi-Fi that I hook up to. In fact, right now, if it's not my home Wi-Fi or my own personal network, then no. I see someone here. Marcus is from Liberia. Yay, thank you for coming in. All right, thank you for telling us. I see a number of us online, but I haven't gotten your responses. Where are you clicking in from? Whilst you're writing your responses, I would like to let you know that all our speakers are here present, and the one who is not present has sent in a video which we'll see shortly. Before I introduce all of them and bring them up to have their speeches, we would like to play a video. Oh, someone is joining in from Leicester. Hi, Ifunaya from Leicester. Thank you so much for joining us. Glad to have you here. We'd like to show a 5-minute clip thereabouts that tells a bit more, shows us a summary of what we did at Camcom 2022. So to the person coming in from Benin City, Nigeria, thank you for joining. And to all others, wherever you are, welcome to Camcom 2023. Enjoy this video that is a wrap-up of what Camcom 2022 was about. Half our lives are spent in the cyberspace. So we need to be more aware of how to protect ourselves in cyberspace. We're so honored that you could be here at our Camcom 2022. Camcom stands for Cybersecurity and Me Conference.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the Cybersecurity and Me Conference 2022. I'm delighted to have you here. People need to know how to recognize threats, how to respond to threats, and protect themselves and help others be more safe and secure.
Should we be more concerned about cybersecurity for individuals or for corporations at large?
You focus more on the individual. If you can build the security in terms of awareness for individual, you can also secure the corporate organization. The objective is to protect the asset, information asset. There are 3 special areas in terms of information asset that we want to guide against: the confidentiality, the integrity, and the availability.
People need to start understanding that the risk that comes with that space is more than a lot of people can imagine. The reality is that we're seeing the local trade. My friend just mentioned something. We have the locals, and then we have the corporate trades. When I say corporate, I'm talking about organized crimes, people whose day-to-day job as you're transacting, their own job is to start collecting. I want to use the word collecting. They're there. So they're also in the cyberspace. They are stakeholders like every one of us, although they are negative stakeholders, but they are still players in our environment.
Nowadays, they have gone from individuality now. they have gone to real organization. So we now have organized crime. The same way we have organized crime in violent crimes, physical crimes, we are having organized crime in the cyber world. We have had people collaborating from Russia to Ukraine, even to Nigeria. You have the dark web, where people sell credit cards, where people sell. Now we have something that is called ransomware as a service. People build a virus and they sell it on dark web. So that's the extent to which cybercrime has gone.
We are not the only players in cyberspace. I think Mark had mentioned that there are many other players in cyberspace that are there to take advantage of us or of our ignorance if we decide not to be aware of their activities in that space.
Nigeria does not have that data privacy in terms of NDPR, so they are also monitoring what are the activities you use the data of a data subject. So there's a process now. There's also Bureau of Investigation established by the Nigerian government to also investigate breaches of data. So if your data is leaked and they get to know of that complaint, they will invite the organization involved and also set up their own investigation to look into that case. So country has moved from what it used to be to a more process environment.
This is the direction of where technology is moving towards in terms of cloud technology, because it enables all of us to be more agile, to work faster, and to have more data. For instance, many of us back up our information on our phones to the cloud. Whereas in the past, you'd not be able to use that phone any longer because the memory in that phone is finished. But because most of the information you now have is now in the cloud, you're able to continue using that phone and continue to have access. So it has real life impact in terms of blockchain and in terms of
part
cloud.
of the reason why people are pushing for a decentralized web is so that they will have control and they will be able to localize
everyone needs to understand, especially in this information age, is that we are every individual is an identity. So on Google, on Apple, we all have a folder, and our identity is linked to everything we do, everything we browse, everything we like, and not just our identity, also identity of people around us and all the things we interact. So the real question is that how secure is our identity?
Study the human mind, you realize that the modern computer is an exact replica of how the human mind works. As a matter of fact, when new technology like artificial intelligence is being innovated on, the model being used is the human mind. Computers work just like our minds. And so in the same way that we try to secure our physical devices, our phones, our laptops, our emails, and all those things, what about the cyber security of your mind? Can you tell when there is an attempt to hijack your mind? When you want to arrest a country, what do? You control what they see. Anyone who controls what you see controls your beliefs, controls your views, controls your opinions. As a parent, as an individual, as an adult, take charge of your mind, take charge of what the people under your care see, and make sure that you learn to be self-governed. So number one, media literacy.
Wow, that's just a reflection of some of the highlights of Camcom 2022. Thank you all once again for joining us at Camcom 2023. I see some chats here. We have Mary from Lagos. Welcome, Mary. We have Arthur from Port Harcourt, Favor from Delta, Nancy from Nigeria. Thank you all so much who have responded. I would like to welcome up for the opening remarks the gentleman who has the vision for Cybersecurity and Me Conference, Camcom. He's a cybersecurity specialist, and he's a believer in we all owning the responsibility of a safer world online. He's the brain behind Camcom. He's the brain behind the theme for this year, which is staying safe online, because we live a lot of our lives online. We might as well be safe. He's also a big player in security offline, if I dare say, with security of lives and property, and he has a big heart for us to do things right. He's the CEO of Steelcon Technologies that is powering Camcom. Please welcome George Ikoli-Spiff, who would speak to us right now. George, if you would unmute. And before you speak to us, on behalf of all of us, thank you for bringing us to Camcom 2023.
Thanks for having me over too. Thanks, Joyce.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Cybersecurity and Me Conference, Camcom 2023. It is with great pleasure and excitement that I warmly welcome you to the second edition of this significant event. In today's rapidly evolving digital landscape, the importance of cybersecurity has never been more evident. Our reliance on technology is deeper than ever, affecting our personal lives, our businesses, and our society as a whole. With this reliance comes an ever-growing need for vigilance, awareness, and readiness to protect our digital world. Now, the Cybersecurity and Me Conference was born out of the belief that knowledge is the most potent tool in our cybersecurity arsenal. Camcom is not just a conference, it is a collaborative journey toward understanding the shifting sands of cybersecurity. Our goal is to empower individuals and organizations with the insights, strategies, and solutions they need to navigate this complex and often perilous digital era. Over the next couple of minutes, we have the privilege of hearing from my friends who are industry authorities in the cyberspace as they share from their rich experiences and expertise and explore innovative solutions with us. Camcom 2023 promises to be a platform where we not only dissect the challenges, but also discover the opportunities they present. As we embark on this conference, I encourage you to be active participants, engage in the sessions, ask questions, and connect with your fellow attendees. It is through our collective effort that we can create a safer digital world. I wish to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our partner, Lolit Energy Limited, as well as all our speakers and indeed every individual who has played a role in making this event a reality. Your support is instrumental in our mission, and we thank you for believing in our cause. Let us embark on this journey with open minds, eager to learn, and resolute in our commitment to bolstering our cyber security defenses. Together, we are the guardians of a safer digital future. Once again, I welcome you to Camcom 2023. Your presence here today signifies your dedication to safeguarding the digital world. I am thrilled to have you with us, and I eagerly anticipate the valuable contributions and insights you will bring to this conference. Let's make Camcom 2023 an enlightening and transformative experience for all. I'm looking forward to your participation in the various sessions and to your contributions and questions. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, George. Thank you for doing this again. And thank you for putting together the amazing set of speakers that we would have with us. Please, in the chat, if you can, say thank you to George Ikoli-Spiff. Thank you, sir. Our keynote speaker the CEO and founder of Page Financials, couldn't join us live today. He's currently in transit between one country and another, but he sent us his video. He was able to put a video together very quickly. It's a 5-minute video that speaks to the theme of today's conference, which is staying safe online. Before I bring the video up, I will say thank you to all those who are still commenting in the chats. You're logging in from Abuja, Charisma, and Segun is from Lagos, and others who have said hello. And keep your questions. They would all be responded to. We have the authorities here with us. Right now, join me as we welcome our keynote speaker for this year, Mr. Segun Akintemi.
Good evening, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to this session on staying safe online. My name is Segun Akintemi, and I'm delighted to be a guest speaker at this session. I would first start the session by talking about how the world has rapidly evolved since the advent of the internet publicly in 1991. And of course, the usage has since been on the increase, with information finding being the most popular activity carried out by internet users. In today's interconnected world, the internet has become a very integral part of our daily lives. We use it for communication, shopping, banking, social networking, and of course, accessing a wealth of information. However, as we navigate the landscape, the digital landscape, the importance of staying safe online cannot be overemphasized. Staying safe online is crucial in today's digital age. Here are some tips that probably would be useful as you go along the navigation in the digital space. Of course, the increase in the number of internet users is a major factor, and corresponding usage has over time increased the level of risks that is out there, particularly inclusive of cyber attacks and the likes. Hence, it is very important to be aware of the various attacks, the form the attack can take, and actually possible ways to be safe while using the internet. Now, in the process of using the internet, you are often unknowingly exposing yourself to a wide range of potential online threats. Digital landscapes, as we know them, are constantly evolving as cyber criminals actually devise new ways to target internet users. Now, let's talk about cyber attack and even online attack. What is a cyber attack? A cyber attack is any attempt to gain unauthorized access to an internet-enabled device, computing system, or even just a computer network with the intent to cause damage. And the major purpose of the cyber attack normally is to disable, disrupt, destroy, or control computer systems, or to alter, block, delete, manipulate, or steal data. People who carry out cyber attacks are generally regarded as cyber criminals, often referred to as bad actors, threat actors, hackers, and they include individuals who act alone, drawing on their computer skills and the knowledge of design, and they execute malicious attacks. Government-sponsored groups of computer experts also launch cyber attacks. They are identified as nationwide attackers, and they have been accused of attacking IT infrastructures of other governments as well as non-government entities, such as businesses, non-profits, and utilities. Now, the next question we should be asking ourselves is, why do cyber attacks happen? Cyber attacks are designed to cause damage. They can have various objectives, and I'll mention a few of them that might be useful to us in this session. One is financial gain. Cyber criminals actually launch most of the cyber attacks, especially those against commercial entities, for financial gain. These attacks often are aimed at stealing sensitive data, such as credit card information, and they then use this to access money or goods using the victim's identity. Other financially motivated attacks are designed to disable computer systems with cyber criminals locking computers so owners don't have access to it. Second is disruption and revenge. Bad actors, as we call them, also launch attacks specifically to sow chaos, confusion, discontent, and of course frustration or mistrust. They could be taking such action as a way to get revenge for acts taken against them. They could be aiming to publicly embarrass the attacked entities or to damage the organization's reputation. The third is actually what they call cyber warfare. Governments around the world are also involved in cyber attacks, with many national governments acknowledging or suspected of designing and executing attacks against other countries as part of the ongoing political, economic, and social disputes. And these types of attacks are classified as cyber warfare. Now, let's look at the types of online attacks that we have seen within our environment. I'd give a few.
I understand that the video had a challenge, but we're trying to rectify it. It's the first 5 minutes plus of it that we have able to show. Hopefully, we'll be able to rectify that and put up the rest of it before it is done. Though I see him in the backstage, Mr. Akintemi, I see you in the backstage. Should I attempt to bring you up? Let's see if we can hear you and see you. Mr. Akintemi, are you able to speak to us? Okay. No, I don't think so. He had said he's in transit, so he just might not be. If he can, he'll send us a message and jump right on. Whilst we're rectifying the technical glitch in cyberspace, please join me welcome our first panelists, who would speak to us for about 10 to 12 minutes. All our speakers will come up for about 10 minutes and then would ask questions, and they would all come up and we'll have a panel style conversation concerning the questions and concerns that will arise. Just because we're in the habit of having ladies first, I would like to bring her up first. Valerie Angira is a cybersecurity specialist, and she has been in this space for several years. She's joining us from her home country in Valerie would like to say thank you for honoring us with your presence. Everyone in the chat, please say welcome to Valerie Angira, who would be speaking to us about extortion and identity theft, which is rife in our cyber world right now. Welcome, Valerie. Good to have you.
Thank you so much, Joyce, and to the entire Steelcon team. A big thank you to everybody online for joining. It's wonderful to have this opportunity to speak with all of you. As Joyce mentioned, I'll be talking about identity theft and extortion. You'll allow me to pull up a couple of slides just to take you through this. One moment. Just one moment as the slides are coming onto the screen. Joyce, you let me know if everyone can see the slides.
Yes, Valerie, we see your slide now. Thank you.
You can see them?
Yes, please. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's get straight into it. What is identity theft? Identity theft occurs when someone steals your personal information, and their aim most of the time is to steal your money, to impersonate you, to open credit card accounts, file tax returns, or make health insurance claims, or just possibly to ruin your reputation. And why does identity theft matter? A lot of us think on a personal level, what do I have that people will want to steal? The money in my bank account is not enough that you feel that someone would want to hack into your account. You don't feel like you have enough data that somebody would want to steal your identity. However, it's important to note that there's a case of identity theft every 22 seconds. In the 26 minutes we've been on this webinar, you can imagine how many cases of identity theft there have been. So in terms of, from a business perspective, a lot of us who run businesses hold sensitive customer data. We have phone numbers, we have passport numbers, we have people's photographs. We have a lot of data that could be used by malicious actors to cause harm. And one of the regulations is GDPR, which stands for General Data Protection Regulation, that requires us to be more careful with the customer data. And you'll find for a business, you could easily be fined for lots and lots of money for not handling customer data efficiently. Just this 2022, Meta, who handled Facebook, were fined 295 million euros for exposing children's data. How this happened is that they allowed children between the age of 13 and 17 to open business Instagram accounts. On a business Instagram account, you can see the phone number and you can see the email address of the person. This breach had them fined all that money. So you can imagine how much more for a small business. For as long as you're handling anybody's data who resides in the European Union, you're culpable. You need to comply to GDPR. So that's why identity theft for businesses is important. On an individual level, you could easily lose your reputation, your money, your time, and even in certain instances, your life. The Steelcon team will be sharing these slides, and what you'll find, what I've linked is an article of a lady who, through identity theft, ended up on a no-fly list. She lost her job because she was Venezuelan. Someone stole her identity in China and was using it to commit crimes. So the next time when she tried to access the United States, she was not able to access. When she at immigration, she was being asked, when was the last time you visited China? And she was so confused. China, she'd never been to China. And she then spent 6 years trying to recover her identity. She couldn't fly anywhere. She couldn't access government services simply because her identity was linked with someone else in a different country. So this is why identity theft is important in this digital world, that we need to be careful about our identities. I'd like to give a couple of examples of cases of identity theft that have happened. I'll give an example here in Kenya, where someone accessed the registrar of births and deaths and was able to get data on all the people who have been deceased over the last 1 year. When they accessed this data, they were able to impersonate a certain individual and go to where he held shares in a brokerage firm, forged an identity card with this person's details, and went to this brokerage firm and said, Mr. James has these shares, and Mr. James pretended to be him. They got someone who is an elderly gentleman who looked quite similar and said, I'm Mr. James, and I'd like to move my shares to be paid out from my ABSA account to a Fidelity Bank account, for example. And the brokerage firm had been made aware that this person had passed away the year before. So they raised a flag and asked and called the family to tell them, somebody has come here in the name of your father and would like us to change his bank account details. And it was only then that they were able to stop this. And upon investigation, they found that this is a scam that has been going on. And so many other brokerage firms had been hit by this scam of people identifying as people who had been deceased. So had they not been aware that this man had passed away, they would easily have changed his bank account, transferred the shares, sold the shares and transferred the money to this scammer. WhatsApp impersonation is a very common identity theft example. You find that someone will send you a message, perhaps for those of us with children, it says, "Hi mom, I lost my phone, I've changed my number, please send me some money some money, I need to buy something." And the picture on the WhatsApp profile picture will be the same person that you know. This happens when someone gains access to your WhatsApp or to your contact list, or both. So when they're able to change your photo and access your contacts and try to extort money from them. Another very common identity theft example is business email compromise. And I've linked an example of a case in South Africa where this individual was purchasing a house. She wanted to buy a house, she'd paid the down payment, and then she needed to pay the balance. So she wrote an email to the estate agent, told them, "Hi, I'm ready to make the remaining payment. Please let me know which bank account details." Unfortunately, this estate agency had been compromised and their email address had been compromised. So the scammers sent the wrong email address, the wrong bank account details to this individual, and she ended up paying all that money, which was about almost $1 million, to the wrong account, simply because someone had accessed their email address. And this case ended up actually going to court, and the court found that the estate agency was culpable because they hadn't secured their systems well enough to prevent against hacking. And so they had to refund this lady her money. So you can see there's a loss of reputation and a loss of money. Lastly, the very last example on identity theft is a case that's very dear to my heart because it happened to my grandmother. You know, in the lives we're living, we're multitasking, we're doing 500,000 things at the same time. So in this case, somebody purporting to be a bank representative made a phone call to my grandmother in the village. She was busy, she's dealing with the cows, the workers, all sorts of things. And this person was like, "Oh, there's a transaction on your account that needs to happen, blah, blah, blah. Please provide this information. Please give us your PIN." And because she was busy, she was distracted, she gave these people her PIN number for her bank. And they were able to access her bank account and withdraw money, and which she lost. When she went to the bank, they said that, "No, you gave them your PIN number, what can we do about it?" They impersonated her and got the money out. So those are examples of identity theft, and there are lots more all over the world. When we think of extortion is a term where different techniques are used by cyber criminals to force victims to comply with their demand, either blackmailing them for money or just for the fun of it, or to gain valuable assets. And in terms of, for broader cyber criminals, for governments, they just want to embarrass the government oftentimes. And I'll give examples of extortion. Ransomware, which is quite popular nowadays. Hackers develop software that is able to encrypt your files, and they launch this software and deploy it to various, in this instance, Kenya Airports Authority in March of this 2023 had a ransomware attack. When they were attacked, all their data was encrypted, and the ransom demand was $500,000 to be paid in Bitcoin. Interestingly, the ransomware attackers are usually very polite. When they send out their messages, they're very polite. They're like, they even have, it's so organized that they have a customer care line. In case of any questions, please call us on this number. So for ransomware, all their data was encrypted and they were not able to access it. According to this article that I've linked, they state that they did not pay the ransom. However, only 13% of the people who get hit by ransomware are able to recover their data without paying their ransom. So we don't know. No one ever admits to having paid a ransom. So a lot of people do end up paying quite large sums in order to access their data. Another extortion example that's on a personal level is personal information sharing. Jordan Dime was a young man of 17 years who unfortunately died by suicide. And this happened because he joined one of these online web dating sites. Some malicious actors purporting to be ladies coerced him into sharing compromising photos, and then went ahead to threaten that they would expose these photos. The risk to his reputation was so dire to him that he opted to take his own life. This is a case of sextortion, or that's what they're calling it these days. And it's very common, especially nowadays with young men and also the young ladies under the age of 18. And because of the risk of their reputation, they're not able to manage the emotions and many end up taking their lives. They feel bullied, they end up in depression simply because of these cyber criminals. Lastly, let's talk about DDoS attacks. DDoS is a direct denial of service, where malicious actors spam the network. They send a lot of data into the network in order to stop it from working and limit access. And for many, a lot of times it's either to extort money or for other reasons. In the case of Anonymous Sudan considered themselves a hacktivist. They consider themselves hacktivists. So here in Kenya, they attacked our critical infrastructure, what provides government services, all banking software, all our banks, as well as the M-Pesa software in August of 2023. And their reason was because our president made a comment that was, according to them, questioning the sovereignty of Sudan. They've also threatened to do this to other governments. And their main reason is just to embarrass you and for you to have downtime. As a nation, you can imagine we had a whole weekend, we could not access government services. And what does this mean for the country? We lost a lot of money, as well as there was a reputation, because we're just looking at our government like, really, guys, you're being hacked? So those are examples of extortion. And you might ask, how does this happen? How do I get into a situation where there's identity theft? How do I get into a situation where I'm being extorted? Of course, there are data breaches, which can happen on an individual level. I left my laptop at a coffee shop unattended as I went to the washroom, for example. Someone accessed my laptop, accessed all the data on it. That's a very simple data breach. Or my credentials were sold on the dark web, and they were able to access my data because I've been using the same password for all my devices and all my applications. Another way is malware, which are viruses that can infiltrate your system, either through using infected USB ports or clicking on malicious links. And then there's phishing. A lot of us have been targets of phishing, where you receive an email that a prince somewhere needs you to deposit an X amount for them to give you $1 million. And these phishing emails are sent out en masse. They are literally phishing, and they just need to get one bite, and that's how they're able to make their money. Then there's Wi-Fi hacking. You use an unsecured Wi-Fi network. You're at the coffee shop, the network is unsecured. Hackers see that as an opportunity. They're able to infiltrate your system simply through the Wi-Fi because it's unsecure. Again, not having a strong password, even on your own personal Wi-Fi in your house, if your password is password, there's a problem. And then there's account takeover. Through data breaches, hackers and malicious actors are able to take over your accounts and now perform whatever malicious acts they want, steal your identity, steal the identity of others, etc., etc. Stolen or gifted phone. Sometimes your phone is stolen, you're not able to wipe the data remotely. And then the malicious actors are able to access your data and use it to impersonate you, to get money from your friends and family, to access your bank account, etc. Sometimes when we gift computers to our relatives or as a company, you're moving to a more modern computer system or more modern computers, you get rid of your old computers, but you don't wipe off all the data. And that's how malicious actors are able to access this data, customer data, as well as your own. And then there's the DDoS clogging the network, which we already discussed. So we're talking about online protection. and how we can protect ourselves being safe online. First and foremost, 88% of all data breaches occur due to human error. So it's important that we as individuals, there is no security in the world that can protect us from ourselves. We have to be alert, to be present. There's a big buzzword in cybersecurity circles that is zero trust. To apply that the security systems start by not trusting you, not granting access before they know who you are, before you identify yourself. Let's use the same on an individual level, that we practice zero trust. When you receive that message from someone purporting to be your daughter, your mother, your sister, to send money, call your sister, ask her, are you asking me for money? Didn't I send you money last week, for example? Number 2 is multi-layer security. Ensure security requires a multi-layered approach. There's no one size fits all. There's no one thing that can secure you entirely. For a business perspective, have a well-secured firewall, endpoint protection, mobile protection, layer up, cloud security. Ensure that you have multiple layers so that even if one is infiltrated, you still have another layer protecting you. Multi-factor authentication on a personal level. Make sure that all your applications are sending you that OTP or require your fingerprint or another way outside of the normal password, that there's a second layer of security. On your WhatsApp in fact has multi-factor authentication. We just need to switch it on. Again, also to prevent the WhatsApp account takeovers, let's not have our profile pictures visible to everyone. Let's change that to only our contacts to stay safe. Another thing is have strong passwords. Your password is like a toothbrush. Make sure you choose a good one. Make sure it's a nice, long, strong one with all the extras, numbers, special characters, etc. Change just as you change your toothbrush every 3 months, change your passwords every 3 months. Don't share your passwords with anyone, and don't reuse passwords. Don't use the same password for multiple accounts, because if one is hacked, it gives the hackers an opportunity to access all your other accounts. Another thing is there's no such thing as free lunch. That's a famous statement. Anything free Wi-Fi, free website streaming sites, they're all very dangerous. Those streaming sites are where you'll click on those links that could end up costing you a lot in terms of your reputation and also in money. Backup. Always have backup for your data, because in the case of ransomware where your data is encrypted, if you have a backup, it's easy to say, it's fine, you guys can keep the data. I already have a backup, I'll restore it. But if you don't, you'll not be able to do that. So ensure that whatever cybersecurity solutions you're running have that backup feature, and Steelcon team provide a wide range of these solutions. Last but not least is child online safety. For those of us who are parents, let's keep our children safe. Be wary of what your children are watching online, what the websites they're accessing. As you saw, Instagram was fined for allowing people to access children's data. If the child was not on Instagram, there would not be any data to access. So let's be vigilant. Let's protect our children as they're the most vulnerable. Thank you so much. I think that's all for me, and look forward to your questions.
Thank you so much, Valerie. Thank you. And I took that away, maybe not in all the lines, but about the relationship with the toothbrush, the analogy of the toothbrush. A good one, strong, long. Don't use it too long, and don't use if you have used it before. I think I'm taking that away as well. Some of the things you mentioned will be absolutely new to some people. Some of them will be reminders on an elevated level. So I really want to say thank you. I know we have a number of questions for Valerie. Please hold your questions just for a bit. When our other speakers have finished their presentations, we will take all the questions together. Some applause for Valerie, please, in the chat, if anyone is already giving a thank you. Mechanic says, free sweets rot the tooth. So maybe engaging with too many free things online will rot our toothbrush. Thank you, Valerie. Thank you again. We'll take you we'll just ask you to please stay with us, Valerie, to take the questions that will come in a short time. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you again. Oh, Camcom family. Yes, thank you all. Thank you all for your appreciation for Valerie. Our next speaker is from the banking sector. In fact, our next two speakers are from the banking sector. And I also asked George a few days ago, I said, how come we have more speakers typically from the banking sector? And he says, well, they deal with high volume of people, very high numbers of people. And it's one major area that the cyber threats are focused on because it involves money. And so they are constantly more alert, as it were, than many other organizations, of course. So we want to constantly hear from their perspective. Our next speaker is the Chief Information Security Officer of the Stanbic IBTC Bank, Nigeria. And he's coming up shortly. He's been here from the very beginning as the speaker after him. And he'll be speaking to the topic, the threat of portable devices for banking services. We all, or almost all of us, use portable devices for banking services. And it is important that we are aware of what could go wrong. And so we see how also to protect ourselves. I don't find him in the back room right now, backstage. So I'll move on very quickly to our next speaker, who is also Chief Information Security Officer of the Nigeria Interbank Settlement System PLC, otherwise known as NIBSS. To us in Nigeria, you know, when you're trying to make payments sometimes and you see NIBSS transfer, yes, that's the platform that he represents, and he takes care of the security of all information there. He was with us at Camcom 2022, and we're delighted to have him here again at Camcom 2023. Mr. Olusola, I hope when we call you for Camcom 2024, you will grant us the privilege.
I will.
Thank you so much for joining us. And his topic is protecting your digital world, enhancing cybersecurity in work and in life. Over to you, Mr. Shola Odediran. Welcome, sir.
Thanks very much. Good afternoon around the world. My name is Olusola Odediran. I was here last year, and this is another time for us to share experience around how to protect yourself in the digital world. We can't stay away from the digital world. The business is changing. Innovation is coming around the fintechs, and as a customer, as a worker, how do you protect yourself? How do you ensure that you enhance cybersecurity as you are making use of digital world? We talk of social media, everybody's around the social media now. A lot has been said by Valerie, and quite insightful. I will also touch base on those items. How do we protect ourselves around the cyber world? To start with, let's look at what are the prevailing threat attacks that we need to be aware of. We talk of social engineering. It's the simplest way. We might be at the weakest links, and how do you protect yourself also against social engineering attacks, whereby they try to manipulate your understanding just to get your information? Three things are very paramount to cybersecurity: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Availability talks to the service. You want to use your mobile app. You want that service to be present and prompt. You don't want a downtime. And these are part of what attackers look at in terms of organization, banks. Try to bring down the network so that you don't have that service. So it's very critical to ensure that you have service that you can also make income alongside. You have merchants also involved in the value chain. They also want to make more income. And the second is also the integrity. You want to be sure if you are sending 20,000, it's actually 20,000 that will then get to your account and 20,000 get to the other side account. So you also need to be sure that that integrity is secure and also protected. And the one that is most important to customers is the confidentiality. To be sure also that your credentials that you use to authorize is secure and safe. And as I say, all those information around, don't share your password, ensure you use a unique password that cannot be easily cracked alongside. So what has come around the world now is what the world of phishing engineering is largely phishing. And when we talk about phishing is to manipulate your understanding to obtain these secret credentials, your password and your username. And we're also seeing around the social media now, the likes of WhatsApp, trying to also educate users. Password your phone, put PIN, and beyond that, also they are trying to do MFA in some level of forms, which is a multi-factor authentication. Because passwords are not that secure. Now people can get your password, they can also should have shove and look at your password when you're trying to put in, or maybe you write it down. These are bad practices people try to do, or you save it on your phone. Somebody pick that phone and look at the pin you have saved on it and can make use of it. So these are part of things we need to also watch out for in terms of how do we protect ourselves. So let's look at the password attack. We have quite a series of methods that attackers use. We call root cause attack, where they can use system to generate permission of password to guess your password also, so that you need to use a complex password. Now we also encourage a passphrase, so that you use a word similar to a phrase, so that you can also remember. You don't need to write down the password, and the passphrase will also be easily remembered by you and not be guessable by the system alongside. And if you are also in doubt whether this password is secure or not, the practice is to continuously change your password. Don't just use the password forever. If there's some other password and you change it over and over time, then you can also log them out, because most times they just want to wait, continue using that password. They don't want you to also detect that they've already gotten that password. You log in, they log in also, and trying to monitor your accounts. Maybe they're waiting for when you have enough funds in that account for they also attack. What is the best practice in dealing with this? If you suspect that you have a password compromise, and maybe you log into your mailbox, try to check, have at the back of your mind what the messages you have checked, because you have to tick the one you have checked. The one you have not checked, maybe it's marked unchecked, and you notice some kind of funny things in your mailbox. Then the next thing, change your password immediately. Let's take a look at the social media also. You have around the world now, people try to ask you for money, and that's also zero trust. Because zero trust is that trust but verify. Anything you see, don't just take it as the truth. That's how to be about securing yourself in the digital world, because it's so simple, so easy, but people try to hide behind the scene. You don't even actually know whether the person that is sending the message to you is actually the real person or an imposter. So trust but verify. That's the zero trust we are talking about. So if you receive any message, don't just act immediately, be alert. Maybe on your WhatsApp and on your phone, SMS, try to use another channel to confirm. Don't be in a haste to take action. Try to confirm through another channel. I had that similar experience about 2 weeks ago on a platform. I belong to a group, and I got a message from a member of that group asking me that can I quickly assist? He has reached his limit for the day, and they need me to just assist him with 100,000 naira. He will credit me back the following month by 8 p.m. because I already reached his limit. I wanted to add, but just on second thought, why should they be asking me 100,000 without even calling me to start with? Why the SMS message coming? So I thought maybe it's actually, it might be a need. Maybe it's not necessary to place a call. So I replied that message back and said, okay, fine, I'm in a meeting currently, but I will call you to discuss further. So I got the message back, SMS on WhatsApp immediately. No, you don't need to call me now. Just let's continue on WhatsApp messages. Why should I not call you? Why should I continue chatting with you? So I called the number, the man was in switch off. So at that point, I know that something is calling. I can remember the switch it off, and you're still conversing with me on WhatsApp. So I didn't act on that message. So I got some other friends, they called me that they've already credited that account. And I will try to read the owner of that number. He mentioned that they stole his phone and the line is not with him. So these are attempts that are making to send people of their phones nowadays. So zero trust. Trust but verify. No matter how you see there, trust but verify. Let us also go to in terms of digital presence. We'll talk about try to minimize your information on the social media. People try to also read through you, make use of information you have put over there in social media, and take that form to attack also. So if you have social media, you can display other information in terms of your interests, what you like to do. When it comes to your PIR, personal identification information, your date of birth, these are unique information they can also use to get other information that you can use to do transactions. So try to minimize information you share on the social media, which is very critical. So let's look at how do you also identify phishing attack, because it's very critical, and that's what they use around Nigeria now. There are 4 critical things you see on the phishing email. The first thing they try to work on is the greediness. The next is urgency, curiosity, and fear. They try to entice you. So when you receive an email and it's looking too juicy, apply caution. Phishing will often change a financial reward. They try to send, okay, do you need to have, or they announce to you that you have won a particular lottery and you need to remit money to certain accounts before we credit you. So if you have not applied for any lottery, so why are they sending you such email? And the next thing also, check the sender's email, because the mass email also, just to be sure to convince that it's actually coming from. But if you over your mouse around that email, it will reveal the actual email address and the domain name that is coming from. Also, be wary of the signature. Most times they come with funny languages, not correct English they make use of. The email signature might also not be correct. And also be aware of clicking links. If you have unsolicited email that is attached with links, be wary of that. Don't just click any links, because those are where they also hide malware, in such a way that you can also retrieve information without your notice from your systems. And what you will do in the right way most of the time now. Beyond your password, beyond your 2-factor authentication, we'll talk about be conscious of the actions you are taking on the line. When you're in digital world, conscious of the actions you are taking. Remember that the security is in your hand. No matter how urgent the email, verify. Call the person that sent that email and try to verify. Use another channel. Not the same email you are replying to, but that email address. Respond to that email, you are still communicating with the imposter. So if you receive via email, verify via phone call. If you use via SMS, verify via email, so that you can also create another channel. And also another area of concern now is the telcos. It's talking that they swap the line. That's the same swap. Also, if you notice that your phone is not working, you're not receiving messages, try to also get access to your telcos, because once they swap that line, they have access to all information into that line. Maybe your bank account number, you receive the SMS via that same line. Once they're able to swap that line, they can also take over those accounts. So I will pause here, and during the question and answer, we'll also answer that. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Odediran, our Camcom partner. Thank you. Very quickly, you're speaking so calmly, like you're not touching salient points, but you're highlighting areas that we should be very aware of, and we really want to say thank you. So we'll stick around. For those who have questions, begin to gather your questions, because after our next speaker, we'll bring up and we will deal with the questions that we have. Earlier introduced and back on stage, he'll speak to us for a few minutes, and then conversation will progress with Q&A. He is the Chief Information Security Officer at Stanbic IBTC Nigeria, and he's a friend of Camcom, and we are grateful for his presence. Please welcome Mr. Abumere Igboa. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Yeah, thank you. I hope I am audible.
Very clear, in fact, super clear.
Great.
See you very well as well.
All right, that's fine. Yeah, thank you.
Sir.
All right, thanks. So I think I'll be touching a lot around mobile security, mobile device security. What we need to keep ourselves informed about. I know Shola, who is also a friend, had mentioned a lot around some of the techniques that are being adopted by fraudsters out there today to defraud customers of banks and financial institutions. I think what is the reality today is mobile has come to stay. It's kind of transformed the digital landscape. It's also now become more integrated in how we identify ourselves within financial systems. When we carry out or conduct financial transactions, our mobile devices also play a very key, vital role. So it's almost, I don't want to use the word impossible, but it almost seems almost impossible not to have a transaction done today, where you would need to utilize your mobile device, either in form of authentication, in form of receiving OTPs, or one-time passwords, where you use to carry out authorization of transactions and the like. So I would say that yes, that's one device we need to pay so much attention to, other than our normal ATM cards that we use very well back in the days. So I will be touching on some key salient points when it comes to what we should be on the lookout for when it comes to mobile. How do we protect ourselves? What are the areas of concerns that we need to also be mindful of? And I think I'll start with the fact that one, in terms of how we authenticate ourselves on our mobile devices, we need to ensure that we use very strong authentication, which will speak to the strength of our passwords, which will also speak to the use of biometrics, face recognition system, face recognition capabilities that exist on our mobile devices. We can also take note or adopt such measures to be able to protect our mobile devices. What I also want to touch on is the fact that when we find ourselves in public places, we also need to ensure that we don't we should be cautious about the use of public Wi-Fi's. If we intend to use public Wi-Fi's, make sure you don't use them during when you're logging on to your key financial systems as well, or when you're providing very sensitive information like your username and passwords for gaining access to your banking software or banking app, as the case may be. And the real reason behind this is that a lot of times these are juicy spots for fraudsters where they can actually harness and collect information, and it will be done in a way that you as a user, you're not very knowledgeable about that activity. So I think we just need to be cautious when we are in public spaces. If you need to carry out your transactions, make sure you do them using your own personal devices, your personal internet, as the case, or internet services that you feel are much more secure than what is being used in such public spaces. Another key recommendation will be the use of virtual private networks. And when we say virtual private networks, these are dedicated and secured networks. These are networks that it's very difficult for a fraudster to play and to intercept traffic or play what we usually use in our world. We call it man in the middle. So someone sits in between and tries to sniff information out of that connection. So using a virtual private network ensures that you are using a more secured means to be able to communicate with sensitive platforms like your banking app to carry out transactions, as the case may be. What other thing we also try to preach to our customers and clients out there today is to ensure that when you have information that sits in your mobile device, you ensure that that information is either encrypted in one way or one form, and that's just because you are trying to ensure that you don't find yourself in a situation where data is unintendedly leaked or falls in the hands of a fraudster in an unauthorized manner or unauthorized way. So putting it in a state that ensures that that information is not readable unless you provide some additional means to access that information securely. Also ensures that you can move around safely with your device and also protect your device as well and your key information as well. And what other recommendation we also make out there is the use of SIM locks or device locks on your mobile devices. This ensures that even if your device is stolen or falls into the wrong hands, it makes it much more difficult, not impossible, but much more difficult for the fraudsters to actually gain access to your information or your financial data. Then I think one other very important thing is always maintain backups. Now you have cloud platforms where you are able to store information in a much more secure and safer way. You don't need to retain those sensitive information on your mobile devices. You can also keep a backup of information that sits on your device so that if you find yourself in a situation where the device is stolen, you can also initiate what we call remote wipe or remote deletion. So you can always delete such information without any panic because you have a stored copy sitting somewhere for you to be able to access at any point in time. So I think these are some of the key insights and steps I would like to share to the general public today. I'm happy to take questions, and I will stop at this point in time. Thank you, and thanks for having me on this session as well.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. And I know that we'll start saying thank yous from the chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, at Camcom 2023, we are now ready for your questions, and all our panelists are here with us. So should you have a question concerning any of the points that have been raised, please bring them forward. I think a lot of information has been shared. If there was anything we had known before, we've been reminded, and we've been called to attention that we are responsible for our own security in this space that we find ourselves. To stay safe online, we are really responsible. So a few things have been mentioned. I've been checking myself to say, Joyce, are you doing this? Are you careful about this? Do you have authentication for this and that? Are you deleting stuff? Or are you just hoping that by the grace of God, everything will be all right? And God forbid that anything will be my portion. Thank you, sirs. And thank you so much for questions. Or if you have any concerns, you need solutions for anything that has been on your mind, our speakers are right here. So we have a lot of thank yous in the chats for Mr. Abumere, also for Mr. Odediran, and for Valerie Angira. So someone says, how does one recover stolen or hacked accounts? Though it is not specific as to what kind of account. Would it be a bank account? Can that be hacked or stolen? Would it be an email account, a social media account? Maybe we should leave it open-ended and would have bits and pieces of responses. Which of our speakers would like to go for this? If you like to, please just unmute yourself and fire away.
Okay, I would like to address that. And for the likes of email accounts, we have the Google email, like the Gmail. They also try to put in multi-factor, two-factor authentication now. Such that if somebody tries to access your email, it sends to another email, a second email for you to verify. You can also prompt on your device. So you can also accept, and I think they have really worked on that. Also, at the start of the initiation of email registration, they also give you a provision whereby you can leave a phone number or a second email address. So you can also go through that to recover. Because if you click that, okay, you need this email, maybe the password is not correct again, the hacker has changed the password, you couldn't access that email, you can ask for recover the email account. It's going to send you another password to your backup email where you can also generate that password back. So check your email security and set the other points where you can connect either a phone number or a second email address. Through that, you can recover it back once you change the password.
And where there is no backup?
Then it's difficult to check. So because there's a provision for it, is for you to set it up. You can also ask secret questions. It's under the security settings of the email. So you need to provide second phone number or alternative phone number or alternative email address.
Email address,
which you can also use to recover. Yes.
Okay. Uneku Odiba, I want to believe this has answered the question as per email accounts being hacked. What other kind of accounts can be hacked? Our two other panelists, and how do we avoid those other accounts being hacked?
Let me take this one in terms of social media accounts being hacked, because I think earlier this year I had all my Meta accounts, Instagram, Facebook, hacked, and I was able to recover it by writing to Meta. Because why was I hacked? Please, because I work in cybersecurity and I didn't have two-factor authentication. I can say that, and I want to meet myself to be a lesson for others. I didn't have two-factor authentication, so even by the time I wrote to Instagram and to Facebook for them to recover my account. I had to send pictures of myself. I had to do a video. It was quite a process, but it's possible if you write to the provider. That's in terms of social media accounts. That's what I would say. And again, set up the backups and the two-factor authentication.
All right, thank you. Next question here says, how do we effectively communicate cyber safety awareness to local business owners, rural people who are new to cybersecurity usage? All right, Mr. Abumere, you're nodding, so I'm thinking you'll take this now.
Yes, I will. And the reason why I'm actually taking this is because I'm also involved in one of the initiatives that we're running in the financial industry today to kind of enlighten not just urban but rural people as well on the need to remain cyber aware and cyber safe. So there are different measures that come to mind, and basically, it's the first most important is the fact that in terms of communication, the message is in a simple and precise manner that it can be understood. The other approach is we then adopt or we try to ensure that the message is also adhered to local languages. So it's not just English, because not everybody understands English as well, which we are aware of that. So some people can't even read and write, so you have to use visuals to also communicate. So it's all about the different modes of communication. It's also the different channels in which we use for communicating as well. What we've also kind of realized is that in using traditional means or channels for communication, it's also very effective. So your radio channels, we've also explored digital channels as well. And we also use the banking channels, because banks also have relationship with their customers as well. So we've tried to also adopt those channels in community. But the most important thing is that the message is also consistent across board. So we are not promoting multiple information that can confuse even the individuals that want to learn. So we've decided that we collaborate on amongst ourselves on this, and we send a common message across board. Even if it's bank A, bank B, the message is same when it goes through those channels, and those are ways in which we are taking that approach to make the general public much more aware. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Simple and in the way that they understand. Thank you. See, personally, I may not have thought about that until the questions were asked. This is one of the importances of a gathering like this, because like my dad will always say, 2 good heads. No, now in this case, 4 good heads, 5 good heads. Plus the people asking the question, good heads, cyber culture interface. Thank you for sending in this question. The mechanic has a longer question here. And he says, I use the Wi-Fi when I'm home. Over time, I have noticed that I am not able to access some apps like LinkedIn until I am forced to switch back to mobile data. Is this a preventive measure by LinkedIn? And yes, I've noticed this. When I'm on certain Wi-Fi, I can't access certain apps. So please, do you think LinkedIn, for example, might be helping us protect ourselves? Who would like to take this?
Yeah, maybe I can start there.
Okay.
Yeah, it will be very unusual. I don't think it's a LinkedIn approach. Yeah, I don't, because LinkedIn would also be trying to ensure that it reaches as much end users as it can in terms of the use of its platform. So I don't think it's going to be that restrictive. It might necessarily be from the telecommunications provider or the paths in which the communication takes to get to LinkedIn, because there are different ways or different paths today that are being taken to reach such public platforms. So the restrictions, I don't believe, would be a LinkedIn restriction, but I just thought to provide that guidance there. Yeah.
Okay. So this might not be about cybersecurity, it's about internet connection. Thank you. This question here, oh well, this is why we are here, to answer the questions. Explain how one can create a backup for the information on a laptop, which could also be on any other device. Who would like to go for this? Valerie, I have a question here that's coming for you, so I'll keep you for the next question if you don't mind. Yes, Ms. Olusola? Oh, you are muted, please.
Okay, thanks very much. It's always nice to have a backup if you want to keep safe from ransomware. You start from yourself to the enterprise. So how do you do this? You have external drive. We call it external drive. You can back up your data at regular interval because you also with your risk appetites. So how much data do I wish to lose and I won't be affected? So there's external drive that is up to the size of the hard disk that you are using. So you can back it up. Also, because of the sensitivity of the data, your corporate organizational data, don't back them onto your personal external drive. There's what we call SharePoint now. If you're in the environment, you also have Azure now. Azure have that cloud capability where you can save your document. Instead of saving it on your local drive, you save it onto that Azure provider, which is a SharePoint, is in the cloud. So anywhere you can call up your data, you don't need to do in your laptop or your PC. Once you have internet, you refer, you connect, and it's update and synchronizes back. So at the enterprise level, you can make use of the cloud infrastructure, which is Azure, don't save on your local drive, save on that the SharePoint drive you can also access anywhere. But when it comes to your own personal laptop or personal PC, you can have external drive to back up your data.
All right, I think it's pretty straightforward. Start from where you are and keep it the way you can. And after a while, you might need to expand to something more. Thank you. So I'm bringing the next question I see here. And please, to all our participants, should you have more questions, we can take about 2 or 3 more for time's sake. But this one, just because during your presentation, you talked about the one that held the entire government to ransom in Kenya, the airports and beyond. The question now begs, and it's from author, what can government do to reduce the surge of cybersecurity attacks? Now, is it possible that the government can do something beyond protecting the government's information? Can it do something for us as citizens, do you think?
I think this is quite an interesting question, because there's a lot the government can do. First and foremost, securing their own data, which is our data as individuals, because the government handles our data. So first and foremost is ensuring that they're using the right security tools to secure themselves from the attackers. Introducing very, very stiff penalties and jail times for these cybersecurity attackers when they have the jurisdiction, because it'll be I think it'll be a deterrent if they are not able to, if they know that if I am caught being part of any cybercrime in Nigeria or in Kenya, I know that I face jail time of 10 years, 30 years. It's a deterrent. Another thing is education. The more people are educated on cybersecurity, the more aware we are, the less cyber criminals have access to us. Because if we are so vigilant, they won't be able to make as much money. It won't be as lucrative as a trade. So it might not end, but it will definitely reduce. So government can introduce policies to educate the citizens. I think that's, yeah.
Thank you. I think that's very similar to the response of reaching out to people who are even in the rural areas. The more we know, the more we protect ourselves. We have our final two questions here. And this one is from the mechanic again. He says, are there basic features of harmful links or sites, free or paid, that we should watch out for? Also, is there software we could use to test the authenticity of questionable links or sites? Do we have security guards, cybersecurity guards? Valerie, would you start with this and then you take it out?
Yes, there are basic features of harmful links. For example, sites, for example, like banking sites, that is a malicious site. Maybe the A is an at, for example. That's what they're using to manipulate. Instead of it being ABSA, it's at BSA Bank. So just being very vigilant on that the site you're going to is the exact bank site. And then other harmful links, those flashy, when you're on a streaming site or on YouTube and you get those ads that are flashing and like really attracting your eyes to click, that's a feature of a harmful site. Anything that's telling you you're going to win money instantly is questionable. It's most likely harmful, not necessarily, but most likely. So let's watch out for anything that is luring the eye and creating a desire for us to click. And then, is there software we could use to test the authenticity? There's a lot of software out there that would block some of these malicious sites to begin with, or I'll send an alert that this site doesn't seem authentic. So there are very many vendors who provide this software from an endpoint level, and I'm sure Steelcon team would be able to share that with everyone.
Thank you very much. This final question, I will ask the two gentlemen to share the answers together because it's a Nigerian question. Is there a source of data on local Nigeria's cybersecurity incidences that someone can use as case study or learning points? We heard about the Kenya attack earlier. Where do we get information for Nigeria cyber attacks or cybersecurity incidences? Mr. Abumere, would you like to take the lead first, and then Mr. Olusola will wrap up on it?
Oh, okay. So I think if this is information to the public, I'm not 100% sure about that. But I know because of the nature and sensitivity around cybersecurity incidents, I think for Nigeria, we're just approaching an era or a phase where we are becoming much more matured and being in a position where we are willing to share incidents that happen within organizations. But I think pending when that is fully adopted or driven, the best bet to get your source of information, especially when it has to do with research work, is to go to the regulators of these industries. So if it's a financial industry, you go to the Central Bank of Nigeria. If it has to do with data privacy, you work with the likes of NITDA or NDPC, the Nigerian Data Privacy Commission. These are, or you work with the Nigerian Security Agency when it has to do with Nigeria as a country, or DSS as the case may be. So these are a few of the agencies that I'm aware of that kind of collate this type of information and kind of centralize it so that they have proper oversight of the industries that they oversee, and they are able to monitor trends effectively. And when there's a shift in trend, they are able to also respond effectively to them. So I think those are the information I can share at this point in time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Odediran, would you like to add to that?
Yes, thanks a lot. Quite a lot has been said by Abu already on it, but just within perspective too, we have entities monitoring each sector. So depending on the type of, but also the government is looking at the National Defense Office of the National Defense Council, so to have a National Computer Incident Response Team. So from there, they can harmonize together. But for now, if you want to get information like that, you can reach out to NIBSS, which also handles issues into technology. So if anything happens technology-wise, they try to also get information and share. So NIBSS is a good source. You can also reach out to NDPC, Nigeria Data Protection Commission, because there's also acts. If there's a data breach in Nigeria, they can also issue investigation and also carry out details analysis of that. For financial sector, you can reach out to CBN also, because they also regulate financial institutions. NCC is also handles telcos, so they also have that insight. You can also reach out to NCC. So for now, that's the way you have in district in the country. Udonida is trying to see how they can respond externally if should there be a problem that is in the public domain.
Thank you. I hope I got all of them right. NITDA, that was the first. NDPC, CBN.
CBN, NCC, Nigerian Communication Commission.
Communication
also be for telcos.
Mr. Abu, was that one you mentioned that I missed out? I think CBN is here.
Yeah, I mentioned the DSS
Yes.
as well, and NSA, yes. Nigerian Security Agency. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Just so that those of us taking notes will indeed get all the notes. Thank you so much. You have been all of great help to those of us who have listened. You've answered our questions and you came. So we say thank you. This is not the vote of thanks. This is me as moderator saying thank you for having the privilege of your time. I would let you go backstage for now. And should you decide to leave from there, we'll totally understand, because we know it's a work day and thank you, Shola. Thank you, Valerie. We are indeed grateful for your time.
All right, thank you.
I'm hoping everyone can hear me. It seems my internet took a hit for a bit. I hope you can hear me. Thank you all. So I did promise earlier that if we're able to fix the issue with the video of our keynote speaker, we would play it. And I am glad to announce that that video has been fixed. And so we have the continuing parts of his video together. Before we play it right now, I will say thank you to all who have stayed so far. In another 10 minutes or thereabout, we would be done with Camcom 2023, but not before our founder at Camcom and convener, George Ikoli-Spiff, comes back to say the vote of thanks. So let me play the continuation, the part 2 of our keynote speech by our keynote speaker at Camcom 2023, who is the founder of Page Financials, himself having worked as a chief information officer of Skybank back in the day, and he has been in the space of information security for a long time. His name is Mr. Segun Akintemi, and this is part 2 of the video that was played earlier. Please enjoy it.
We call session hijacking. Session hijacking occurs when an attacker hijacks a session by capturing the unique and private session ID and poses as we call session hijacking. Session hijacking occurs when an attacker hijacks a session by capturing the unique and private session ID and poses as the computer making a request, allowing them to log in as an unsuspecting user and gain access to unauthorized information on the web server. However, there are a number of methods an attacker can use to steal the session ID, such as a cross-site scripting attack used to hijack your session ID. An attacker can also, of course, opt to hijack the session to insert themselves between the requesting computer and the remote server. There's also credential reuse. Credential reuse occurs when somebody uses the same credentials on multiple websites. It can make life easier at the moment, but can come back to haunt you that user later on, even though security best practices universally recommend unique passwords for all applications and websites. Many people, and a lot of us actually, still use their passwords, and of course, an attacker can easily exploit this. Now, let's look at methods by which attacks occur. Now, there are 4 or 5 major ones that we know in the market. One is social engineering, and this is an exploitation of an individual's weakness achieved by making them click malicious links or by physically gaining access to a computer through deception. Phishing and pharming are examples of social engineering. Now, phishing, an attempt to acquire user information by masquerading a legitimate entity. Pharming is with a PH and not F. Pharming is an attack to redirect a website's traffic to a different fake website, whereby the individual's information is then compromised. There's also one called drive-by, and this is an opportunistic attack against specific weaknesses in or within a system. There's also one called man in the middle. Now, man in the middle is an attack where a middleman impersonates each endpoint and is able to manipulate both victims. Now, I would want to talk through the essential internet safe tips. The first I would want to talk about is the fact that, one, you should make sure you are using a secure internet connection. Although using public Wi-Fi is not recommended, it's sometimes unavoidable, particularly where you find yourself out and about. However, when you go online in a public space, and of course using a public Wi-Fi connection, you have no direct control over the security, which could leave you vulnerable to such attacks. So if you're using a public Wi-Fi, avoid carrying out personal transactions that are sensitive, that carry sensitive data. If you need to do any of these, use a virtual private network, or a VPN as it's called, which protects you and the data in an unsecured environment. Second internet safety tip is choose strong passwords. Passwords are one of the biggest weak spots when it comes to cybersecurity. People often choose passwords that are, of course, easy to remember and therefore easy for hackers to actually hack. So select strong passwords that are harder for criminals to hack, and a strong password is also made up of characters, uppercase, lowercase. Avoid those obvious ones like 1, 2, 3, 4 and all those things, date of birth and the likes. Third, enable multi-factor authentication where you can. Now, multi-factor authentication is an authentication that asks you to provide 2 or more verification methods to access an online account. So, for example, instead of just asking a username and password, you could actually ask for other details and go beyond just the basics. Number 4, keep software and operating system updated. You need to continue to, developers are actually constantly working on making products safe. So you have to make sure that your softwares, your licenses are updated and up to date at all times. 5, check that the websites, the look and feel are reliable. A lot of us just put in passwords, website addresses, and once we click, we don't know if it's masked. So sometimes you need to pay attention to a key element, which is what we call the SSL, the security certificate. And this means that looking at URLs that start with HTTPS rather than HTTP, because the S behind the HTTPS is actually secure. The 6th one is review your privacy settings and understand privacy policies. It is very, very critical. The 5th one is that you should be careful of suspicious links where you click. A lot of us actually become very careless when it comes to just clicking on links. So you open an email, you just click. And I tell you, a careless click can expose your personal data online and infect your device. Number 8, make sure your devices are secure. With up to 60% of people using mobile devices for shopping and finding information online instead of on the desktop. So it's important that you make sure that they are secure, and all your devices, your phones, computers, tablets, make sure they are very, very secure. Number 9, backup data regularly. It is important we back up important information on external hard drives outside the devices that we use. And this is always useful, and you can protect yourself further with URLs that start with HTTPS rather than HTTP, because the S behind the HTTPS is actually secure. The 6th one is review your privacy settings and understand privacy policies. It is very, very critical. The 5th one is that you should be careful of suspicious links where you click. A lot of us actually become very careless when it comes to just clicking on links. So you open an email, you just click. And I tell you, a careless click can expose your personal data online and infect your device. Number 8, make sure your devices are secure. With up to 60% of people using mobile devices for shopping and finding information online instead of on the desktop. So it's important that you make sure that they are secure, and all your devices, your phones, computers, tablets, make sure they are very, very secure. Number 9, backup data regularly. It is important we back up important information on external hard drives outside the devices that we use. And this is always useful, and you can protect yourself further with appropriate security software. Other forms of malware deny you access to your personal data by overwhelming your system, and you could lose a whole lot. Number 10, close unused accounts. A lot of us leave accounts unused, and of course, people can actually hack and access it, and they replicate you, and it becomes a problem. So we recommend that closing your old online accounts and requesting that your data be deleted from the relevant third-party servers makes you safe. Number 11, be careful what you download. A top goal of cyber criminals is to trick you into downloading malware, which can be used to open a backdoor to your machine. So we should pay a lot of attention to what we download. Number 12, be careful what you post and where. The internet doesn't have a delete key. So any comment and email or image that you post online may stay online forever, because removing the original wouldn't remove any copies that other people may have made. So it is important that we are careful where we display or submit our email addresses. And it's good to have a secondary throwaway email account that you could use solely for email sign-up so it doesn't interfere. 13, be careful who you meet online. People you meet online are not always who they claim to be, so you have to be very careful. Then number 14, double check online information. Fake news, misinformation, and disinformation are fully present on the internet, so you have to be very careful. And the last but not the least, use a good antivirus and keep it updated, because it's very, very important. Now, I'll just run briefly through some cyber attacks in history. The first I'd want to talk about is the 2007 Estonia cyber attack. And this was referred to as the 2007 cyber war. And it was a significant and widely reported incident involving a series of coordinated and distributed denial of service. And this was monumental, and you could actually take your time to read this up. The second is the Ukraine's power grid attack. In December 2015, a sophisticated cyber attack caused a significant power outage in Ukraine. And the nature of the attack was coordinated. It was a coordinated cyber operation that disrupted the electricity supply in Ukraine. The attackers used malware to gain access to the computer systems of several power distribution companies. And of course, the impact left over 230,000 people in a particular region of Ukraine without electricity for hours. Of course, the 2014 cyber attack on Yahoo, we all know a bit about that too, and we could always read it up. And getting recent, there was a WannaCry attack in 2017, which was a ransomware attack that spread rapidly across the globe. There was also, of course, the SolarWind attack in 2020. And the SolarWind cyber attack was a supply chain attack that affected numerous government agencies and corporations. There was also, of course, the most, I think this one was quite in the last 2 years, it's called the JBS meat processing cyber attack. And JBS is one of the world's largest meat processing companies, and they suffered a cyber attack that disrupted its operations in North America. Overall, these are just examples of what could happen when we are exposed, whether as an individual, as a government, or even just a private company. And we should not in any way compromise. On this note, I'd like to say a very, very big thank you for listening. And I'd like to commend the organizers of this session, led by George. And I want to thank him especially for giving me an opportunity to speak. I would have loved to be there, but I would be in transit during the session, and I would be happy to take correspondence later after the session through my email, which would be available through George. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and enjoy the rest of the session.
Thank you so much, Mr. Segun Akintemi, our keynote speaker at Camcom 2023. We are indeed grateful for the effort that you put in and the amount of information that went into the speech. Thank you. Highlighting, and I know that some of the people who are watching are like, yes, he has answered even more of the questions that were asked, because remember, he was setting the tone for us at Camcom 2023, where our theme is staying safe online. Mr. Akintemi, thank you so much. I'd like to welcome George to stage. George Ikoli-Spiff, our convener, who has gathered us together for Camcom, to say a word of closing before we bring back our other speakers to say goodbye to all our listeners today. Over to you, George. Please unmute.
Thank you, Joyce. First, I'd like to apologize to everyone for the slight glitch that we had in showing the video of our keynote speaker, Mr. Segun Akintemi. I'm sure that he has shed some light and provided a lot of information concerning your pain points and things that you might have been experiencing or you've gone through. A very big thank you to Mr. Segun Akintemi for being there for us, for making himself available despite his tight schedule. And I also want to thank our speakers and panelists, Mr. Abumere, Mr. Olusola, and Mrs. Valerie, for adding flavor to this conference. It's been very enlightening, and we never stop learning. I've learned some things. I've heard some things that happen in the industry that I wasn't aware of before. So I have some key takeouts to look at and then go over the video of the sessions all over again. And I also like to thank our hosts and our moderator, the indelectable Joyce Daniels, for moderating the whole session and the whole conference. To all our participants, I say thank you. Thank you. Without your being here, the conference wouldn't have been what it is, a success. Thank you so much, and God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. Valerie's still here, Olusola is still here, and we will all say goodbye together and see you at Camcom 2023. Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank
Sorry.
you.
Thank you. 2024. All right. Bye, everyone.
I would like to add something. We're still looking into it. Mr. Olusola had mentioned last year after the Camcom conference that we should have a quarterly, session, maybe like for 30-45 minutes, where we invite people and we'll talk. So I would sit down with Mr. Olusola, since he's now part and parcel of Camcom, and we'll look at it and send messages across. Thank you.
Thank you. To all those who registered, we have your details and the emails, the Valerie's presentation, all of that, we'll send them to you. Thank you all. Have a great time staying safe online. Bye for now.
Thanks, Valerie.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.